How does your product use or challenge conventions, and how does it represent social groups or issues? What genre is our film? Our movie is a chick flick. Therefore, it is a film genre provided specifically to women's interest, and it is marketed towards women's demographics. Nowadays, it's very common to see hybrid genre films because it appeals to a wide range of audience and therefore makes more revenue. However, in my film, I use the Deborah Knight theory that basically suggests that the audience prefers just one single genre. She also talks about the audience being satisfied because they know what the ending is going to look like, which also really happens a lot in chick flick movies. This theory resonates a lot with what I wanted in my film, and that's why I decided to just use one genre. In chick flick movies, there are many genre conventions that differentiate this genre from others. To answer today's question, I will be explaining all of these genre conventions. The fancy pink purple fonts, dealing with the relationships of first loves, all the stereotypical high school characters, the main character being beautiful, rich, and perfect. And lastly, the mean girl character. So let's start with the iconic pink fancy fonts the titles and credits have. I was inspired by iconic movies like Legally Blonde, Mean Girls, and 13 Going on 30. After taking all of this inspiration, I came out with this title and credit. Very girly and on theme. The next genre convention we will be talking about is the romance in the chick flick movies, because these movies are mainly marketed toward young adult women and teen girls, and it is very common to have some romance in these films, due to them having also romance in their life at this stage of life. In my film opening, we can see the girls are getting ready to go out and party all night. Although partying has a polysemic meaning depending on the person's experiences and environment. I have encoded the party to be a place to flirt by putting at the end of the film a telephone showing an Instagram story that says single and ready to mingle, which clearly shows the audience that they want to flirt with guys. This would cover the romantic genre convention I want to my film. Another genre convention that is seen in all chick flick movies is the stereotypical high school character. We usually see the nerds or emos or the creative girls, and on the other side we see the popular girls. In our film, the popular girls are these three girls on the right hand side, and on the left hand side is the creative weird girl. We know this girl is the typical weird girl because the audience can clearly see she doesn't fit in, but I will extend on that later on. Also the scene where she looks at the picture when she pulls it out of her jacket when trying to look for her lip gloss, and her being sad and nostalgic about her group of friends changing to these popular girls to fit in society, shows that she is clearly not happy to have changed friends. Just because of peer pressure, she made this decision. In contrast, inside the popular girls group, we have two roles. The sidekicks, which just follows along and do whatever the leader says. And on the other hand, we have the leader that influences all of the girls and bosses them around. Continuing with the theme of the character of the leader, we must talk about the genre convention of the popular girl in the chick flick movies. She is rich, perfect, and beautiful. Nowadays, we call it girl. We encode this message using signifiers like the modern, clean, big house, or the luxury clothes she's wearing, the bags from the expensive brands, and her beautiful face. The social group I am representing is teenage girls. Now I'm going to talk about social issues I am representing in my film. The first one is a low self-esteem issue that is very common in teenage girls. Nowadays, teens try to change their appearance to try and fit in by covering their acne with makeup. They feel very insecure about their bodies and try to always be stylish and trendy, to be cool. The scenes that encode this are two of them. The first one being the close-up of the makeup to emphasize that the girls are covering to look more beautiful and therefore flirt more with guys. Also, at the beginning, there's a scene where the bags are thrown in the bed. That shows the audience that the girls are always trying to buy clothes and update their clothes to be very trendy, and for them to also become even cooler and fit in society. The other social issue I want to talk about that I'm representing in my film is peer pressure. Being a teenager is hard for everyone because you have to look perfect all the time and try to be up to the standard of coolness of others. In our film, this girl represents the weird girl. In this case, she's already accepted in the group of friends, but she doesn't quite fit in. We let the audience know in this scene because of the dialogue. Let's fix your hair. Why is it so hard for her to fit in?
Yeah, I know. Let's make her drink now.
Do you want to drink? Also, body language is very important, and the audience can infer this character is not comfortable doing all these things because of how she's acting in all these scenes. In this case, Stuart Hall's theory is demonstrated because we're encoding all of this in the way the girl is acting, and the audience will unconsciously decode this and have a preferred reading towards our film opening. That would be all for the first question.